Nobody inside NASCAR expected Kyle Busch's story to end like this. Just days ago, Kyle Busch was still preparing for upcoming races, still competing, still acting like everything was normal. But behind the scenes, something terrifying was already happening to his body. And now, after new details, family statements, and reported 911 call details surfaced, fans are finally learning what really happened during the final moments before the NASCAR legend's sudden death. According to reports connected to the emergency call, Kyle was struggling to breathe, overheating, and even coughing up blood before collapsing. Doctors reportedly fought for hours trying to stabilize him. But sadly, his condition only became worse. Now the reported cause of death has finally been revealed. So what exactly happened to Kyle Busch? What did the family say? What did doctors discover? And why has the entire NASCAR world been left completely stunned by how fast everything happened? Stay all the way until the end, because the final details surrounding Kyle Busch's medical emergency are absolutely heartbreaking. But before we continue, if you love NASCAR content and want daily breaking stories like this, make sure to subscribe right now. Now let's get into the full story. The entire NASCAR community is still trying to process what happened, because nobody expected Kyle Busch, one of the toughest and most competitive drivers in the sport, to suddenly be gone at just 41 years old. Fans were completely shocked when reports first revealed that Kyle had been hospitalized with what was described as a severe illness. At first, many people thought maybe it was just a temporary medical issue. Some fans even expected him to recover quickly and return to racing within days. But then, everything suddenly changed. Only hours after news of his hospitalization started spreading, NASCAR officially confirmed the heartbreaking news of his death. And immediately, confusion exploded across social media. People wanted answers. How could someone who had still been racing recently suddenly die this fast? What illness became so dangerous in such a short amount of time? And what exactly happened during those final hours before he was rushed to the hospital? Now new information is finally giving fans a clearer picture. According to reports connected to the emergency situation, Kyle's health rapidly declined after developing severe pneumonia, and doctors later discovered that the infection had progressed into sepsis. For people who may not know, sepsis is an extremely dangerous condition where the body reacts aggressively to an infection. Once it spreads through the body, it can quickly begin damaging organs and create life-threatening complications. And sadly, that appears to be exactly what happened here. What makes this situation even more terrifying is how quickly everything reportedly happened. Kyle had still been preparing for upcoming NASCAR events only days before the emergency. He was reportedly still active, still training, still focused on racing, which is why the sudden collapse shocked everyone around him. According to details connected to the reported 911 call, emergency responders were told that Kyle was struggling badly. The caller reportedly described him as overheating, having severe breathing problems and coughing up blood. And then things became even worse. Reports say Kyle collapsed during a simulator session before emergency crews arrived. Imagine how terrifying that moment must have been for everyone there. 1 second, a NASCAR superstar is preparing like normal. And the next second, people are desperately trying to get him medical help. Emergency responders reportedly rushed him to the hospital as doctors immediately began trying to stabilize his condition. But by that point, the infection had already become extremely severe. And according to family statements reported by news outlets, the pneumonia had already developed into overwhelming sepsis complications. That's what makes this tragedy so heartbreaking. Sometimes pneumonia sounds like something people can simply recover from after rest and treatment. But when severe infections spiral out of control, things can become deadly incredibly fast, especially once sepsis enters the situation. And sadly, doctors were reportedly unable to stop the damage happening inside Kyle's body. Eventually, family statements reported by news outlets explained what doctors believed caused the medical complications behind his death. The family explained that severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis and created rapid complications that doctors could not reverse. And after that statement was released, the entire NASCAR world fell silent, because now fans finally understood just how serious the situation had become behind the scenes. What makes this even harder for fans to accept is the timing of everything. Kyle Busch wasn't retired. He wasn't completely removed from the sport. He was still actively racing, still competing, still preparing for future events. In fact, many fans were still talking about his recent performances and future NASCAR plans shortly before the tragedy happened. That's why so many drivers, teams, and NASCAR legends reacted with complete shock. Nobody saw this coming. Tributes immediately started pouring in across the NASCAR community. Drivers, teams, analysts, and longtime rivals all shared emotional messages after hearing the news. Many described Kyle as one of the greatest natural talents NASCAR had ever seen. Others talked about his intensity, competitiveness, and passion for racing. Even drivers who battled against him for years admitted the sport would never feel the same again. Because whether fans loved him or hated him, Kyle Busch always brought energy to NASCAR. He was never boring. He never backed down. And he built one of the most unforgettable careers in modern NASCAR history. The emotional reactions from fans became overwhelming online. Some people said they still couldn't believe the news was real. Others started sharing old race highlights, interviews, and memorable moments from Kyle's career. And many fans focused on how devastating this loss must be for his family, especially his wife Samantha and their children. The family has reportedly asked for privacy while dealing with the tragedy, and honestly, it's understandable. Because losing someone this suddenly is the kind of shock that changes everything, especially when it happens so unexpectedly. Another reason this story has hit fans so hard is because of the reported final symptoms before Kyle collapsed. The details from the emergency call sounded terrifying. Shortness of breath, extreme overheating, coughing up blood, and eventually becoming unresponsive. Those details made many fans realize just how serious his medical condition truly was during those final moments. And according to reports, doctors fought aggressively to save him after he arrived at the hospital. But the infection had already become too dangerous. Now many people across NASCAR are asking the same emotional question. How could this happen so fast? Unfortunately, severe pneumonia and sepsis can sometimes become deadly incredibly quickly, especially if complications rapidly spread through the body. And that appears to be what doctors eventually discovered in Kyle's case. The tragedy also sparked emotional conversations about health issues athletes sometimes ignore while continuing to compete. Because racers are known for pushing through pain and discomfort. Many fans are now wondering if Kyle may have been trying to keep competing despite already feeling sick. But sadly, by the time the medical emergency happened, the illness had reportedly already progressed to a terrifying stage. And now NASCAR has lost one of the biggest names of his generation. A driver who built an incredible legacy. A driver who won championships. A driver who created unforgettable rivalries. And a driver who millions of fans watched for decades. What makes this story especially emotional is knowing that nobody around him expected the ending to happen this quickly. One moment Kyle Busch was still part of the NASCAR future. And then suddenly, the entire sport was mourning him. Right now, fans across the racing world continue sharing tributes and memories as they try to process the heartbreaking news. And honestly, this is the kind of loss NASCAR may never fully recover from emotionally, because drivers like Kyle Busch don't come around often. His personality, talent, intensity, and impact on the sport made him completely unique. And now the reported emergency call details and medical updates have made the tragedy even more heartbreaking, because fans now understand how terrifying those final moments truly were. In the end, family statements and reports indicated that severe pneumonia and sepsis were behind Kyle Busch's sudden death. A devastating medical emergency that escalated incredibly fast and shocked the entire sports world. And now NASCAR fans everywhere are left remembering one of the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen. Rest in peace to Kyle Busch. And condolences to his family, friends, team, and every NASCAR fan affected by this tragedy. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more NASCAR updates and breaking stories. And let me know your favorite Kyle Busch memory down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.